So welcome everybody, and good morning. I know this is not the easiest morning to have on a Saturday at Anime NYC, because I know some of y'all got it in last night. I checked social media, I see some faces. And so we're really glad to have you. We wanted to create a little buffer because this was a little bit hard to find. This was a last minute addition to the schedule. So thank you for Anime NYC for allowing us to have this. We always have something Blurred related from BlurredCon. Participating since day one. It's been a great convention for us and for the community, so I just wanted to say that up front. This panel is called Nerdcore, quite simply. And to be perfectly honest with you, I am not like the most well-versed in the Nerdcore world. I am very well-versed in the people and the backstage mechanics of it, and I wanted to learn myself, and I said, why don't I use a panel as an opportunity to hear from the people who are active in this space to kind of expose this and get some Q&A out and get some answers. So I want to introduce the panel, this esteemed panel. To my right, substantial, good friend, based in Prince George's County, Maryland, producer.
Based in Northern VA now.
Oh, now you know you done moved?
Oh, I've been there for a minute. You know, low key.
What's,
you know what I'm saying?
Okay, I know where he works and everything. So
Right.
like, oh man, I'm about to tell. Put all his business out there.
Right.
So yes, living in Virginia, Maryland. Debuted in 2000, collaborating with the late Japanese producer Nujabes, who later worked on a popular show, Samurai Champloo. Legendary rapper, activist, Chuck D, a Public Enemy, referred to Substantial as one of the great MCs of our time. His soulful, introspective brand of hip-hop music has received critical acclaim from Ebony.com, Source Magazine, Hip Hop DX, DJ Booth, and OKPlayer.com. His music videos have appeared on MTV, VH1, BET, and, you know, all over the web. You cannot miss this brother. So give this brother a round of applause here. Substantial's in the building. Appreciate that. Now, my brother to the next right here, Shadow, I have been...
we have to say the Shao Dow.
I'm getting it right. So I have heard about this brother for a year, at least a year. The brother who's in the red shirt in the video, his name is IQ. He's our music director at BlurredCon. Came to me basically a year and some change ago and was telling me about this cat, based out of UK. He's an award-winning rapper, manga author, occasional ninja, quite literally. Known to rap in both English and Japanese. Shao is hard to define as just a regular artist. He's consistently blurring the lines between anime, gaming, martial arts, and his own music, and has worked with icons such as Sean Shim, the voice of Goku from Dragon Ball Z, and features in the first single, Tech Nine's Ass Nine album. Is that how you pronounce it? Yeah, I got that right. So give a big shout out to my man, Shao. Now, this brother is taking over the whole weekend. He is rapping literally everywhere but right here.
Yeah,
Tell him where you're going to be this weekend.
Tonight I'm going to be, howdy everyone, this is not my accent, I just kind of fell into it. Let me check. Tonight I'm going to be headlining the cosplay masquerade from 8:30. I'm doing the halftime show. I guarantee you will not see a show like what I do, so please do come along. After that, I'm going to be at Coexist Game House doing the after show party, so that's going to be great. And before I forget, I am planning my very first tour in Japan for next year. I've got information about it right here. If I could ask, if you enjoy the panel, please just take one of those. I'd really appreciate it.
Now, you don't need to give nobody no reason to go to Japan. You know they coming. They coming like, oh, wait, Japan, we in there. Thank you, brother. I appreciate it. So, yes, listen, wear your comfortable shoes because you're going to be jumping up and down. I have not seen any of his video performances where people are just kind of like chilling. Everybody's doing backflips and craziness. So, you know, stretch, do everything you got to do, and go from there. We got our long-running celebrity friend, my good friend, DjTaylorSenpai. You know, he is an innovative and determined DJ. He's learned the importance of versatility and being able to cater to any crowd, which is quite little. He has done every kind of crowd, which I'm really impressed with, and that's so hard to do as a DJ. Playing genres of music ranging from hip-hop, R&B, anime songs galore, go-go, and more. TaylorSenpai has performed at major conventions, events, and after-parties with Sonic Boombox, and resident DJ for BlurredCon. We've been working with him, and he's been working with us since day one. Give a shout-out and a round of applause for my man, DjTaylorSenpai. Now, I want to start off by putting some information out. just a little recap. I'm just going to skim through some of this so we can get to the panelists. But, you know, I basically went and did as much of a search as I could over the last week, just really trying to get my ducks in a row about Nerdcore, the history of it, and so we can give a platform for these guys to have some discussions and answer some questions. And then once we get through a set of questions, we're then going to go and turn it up to you guys. We got an intimate enough space where I don't think we would need a microphone. So, you know, just wherever you're at, you don't necessarily have to stand up, but we want to make sure we get participation until they kick us out. All right. Oh, I almost forgot. I got to introduce myself. See, this is why I make slides, because they'll be like, well, who's that guy? He's talking, right? I'm the founder of BlurredCon, the Black Nerd Convention based near Washington, D.C. in Arlington, Crystal City, annual convention celebrating Black nerddom and the fandom family. We're running up on 8 years this coming summer. Had our biggest year this past summer. It's been a real blast. It's been an education. It's just been so fulfilling, meeting great people like yourselves and the people on the stage. There's no other place where I could meet better people than in the Blurred space. So it's been my honor. And I hope that if you have not had a chance to visit BlurredCon, that you guys will have a chance to come and take advantage of it, because you see with the video, it's all vibes. It's such love. So, you know, Nerdcore, as defined as a genre of hip-hop, you know, subject matter, you know, is basically around nerd stuff, you know, geek things that we know as a part of our fandom. You know, MC Frontalot is the earliest known recorded use of the term, which I think is important. I talk about the same thing with blurred. The term blurred came from my man Turk in a TV show called Scrubs. Remember Scrubs? And that was the first time the word blurred was used, was in that show. And I put that in my slideshow when I talk about the history of blurredom. And so it really is important to see, like, where was the word first used? And MC Frontalot was the first to use it in the song Nerdcore Hip Hop in 2000, right? There are hip hop artists who've recorded compositions that focus on similar topics, but are not automatically considered nerdcore. You might have heard of Blackalicious. Anybody heard of Blackalicious? I know this guy. Yes. You know, they didn't claim to be nerdcore, even though they kind of had science-oriented songs, subject matter, like, you know, chemical calisthenics, things like that. You know, that just evokes a lot of that nerd energy. So we kind of, like blurredom, we kind of claim blurreds that don't shout the word themselves. Like we jump on Megan Thee Stallion and all this stuff. You know, the same phenomenon happens throughout, I think, the history of nerdcore. Then we have, everybody knows my man MF Doom, who's heavily inspired by comic genres and you know, supervillain books and characters. If you've ever met the brother, and I had the opportunity and the honor of meeting him shortly, you know, a few years before he died and passed, you know, it's just like part of his DNA. It's not even like some gimmick or some show. It's like people getting to speak from their heart. And when you meet them, you're meeting the same person that you see in the videos and on stage. And it's like one of those things that I love about Nerdcore, which made me want to have this conversation with everybody. You guys might know the man formerly known as Random, Mega Ran. I mean, this brother was probably the first live, like, sit-down performance of Nerdcore that I ever saw. And, you know, he started off kind of dedicating, you know, the Mega Man video game genres, where he kind of got the name Mega Ran, which was, remember, was the title of his album. And he really owns it. I mean, he's just, you know, super smart, you know, and his lyrics are off the hook, man. He just takes on over a crowd. And he's somebody that everybody's familiar with. And if you have a chance to see him.
I got to say, Mega Man is an absolute master of his craft.
For sure.
He deserves
Listen,
every blessing that comes his way.
this brother had the audience sit on the floor. And he told the
story
story.
time.
Yeah. I ain't never seen anybody sitting down. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, wait, are we sitting? Okay. And
He's actually just released an album for kids as well, like children's album.
Mm-hmm.
Well, he's an educator. That was his background. So it like all comes from that, man. So with my background education, we had some really great convos. Yeah, you need to.
Yeah.
We all connected.
Shout out to Rand. Also, a lot of people you meet in the biz, like, we love their craft, but they're not always the nicest of people when you finally meet them. And this dude is arguably like one of the like best human beings you will meet. Like, just really great brother. You know what I mean?
Inspires other people. You know, has generated energy into the genre. And speaking of which, you know, Samus is a perfect example of that.
Professor.
Yeah, Professor Samus now, right? Working on that PhD. Now she's got it, doing it. You know, the album Nerd in 2010 and album Mother Brain in 2012. You know, Mega Ran, you know, was kind of somebody that saw her and kind of helped put some wind at her sail. They started collaborating. They worked some things together for her album, her second album, Prime, and the Bandcamp album in 2013. She had a Kickstarter for another album. She is amazing as well. Both of these artists have performed at BlurredCon and have been guests, so we've had the opportunity to work with them, see them perform, and it's just been a real joy. Mm-hmm. And I really just wanted to kind of throw some of that out there into the audience for anyone here who was either not familiar or needed a reminder or refresher. But I want to kind of lead into the conversation. I'm going to start with my man Substantial. You were talking about how these genres, and we've talked about this too, from anime, which is kind of why we're here, influencing hip hop, and then hip hop influencing anime. And this confluence that we see that's almost kind of like a mirror image of what we were doing in the 70s and early 80s with our love and passion for martial arts movies, the Shaw Brothers Chop House movies, and everybody going to a dojo and trying to learn how to make that noise when you fight, which doesn't actually happen, by the way. So you as somebody who's been in this business, has been in this genre as long as you have, are you seeing these parallels, and what does it say for the future of nerdcore and its broadening scope, where there's more people who aren't necessarily nerds or identifying as nerds that are tapping into this new music and kind of coming into this community? What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, it's been interesting because I feel like every super hip hop head that I've ever known, like really, really super hip hop head, we've all been nerds, like for the most part. You listen to early Wu-Tang, not just the fact that they were sampling Kung Fu movies. I mean, they literally, like, their first single, they're mentioning Spider-Man in the first few bars, right? Like, and, just so many different references like that. Early, like, my early years in the 90s producing stuff, the first anime I ever sampled was Ghost in the Shell. And now, 20 plus years, well, more than that now, later, on this new record I got, there's a song called Ghost in a Cell, which, talks about losing our loved ones and keeping their memories in our phones. And so, like, just the parallels, like, it's always been there, right? Me and IQ were talking about, I forget what the group was, but they saw... they sample John Gans, what's the old joint? Old anime from like, oh my God, like the 70s. Giganto or something like that. Yeah,
it might be Giganto.
And the music was crazy. And so there's people who's been sampling that stuff and like long before we had a name for it, right? Like it's forever been there. I like to kind of think of myself and a lot of other artists as more nerdcore adjacent. Because before Nerdcore was a thing, and I was already doing my thing because I got my deal in '99. We were making a type of hip hop that people later called like jazz hop, right? Or they called it jazzy hip hop. Which out the gate, anybody who's like somewhat cool, most of the time like jazzy hip hop, you know what I mean? It wasn't, but for the most part, it was in the vein of Tribe Called Quest, right? Again, when you look at early Tribe Called Quest, they didn't look like the other guys in hip hop. De La Soul didn't look like the other guys in hip hop. And it doesn't mean they weren't street, right? Or from that, but they also were super into things that most people would consider nerdy. And a lot of times when we have these conversations around the way, I get the side eye with the homies, right? Like, yeah, I don't know, bruh. So I think it's dope to see the evolution of it and where it is now, where there's a safe space for it. I interviewed Mega Ran a while ago, and one of the things that he said when we were talking about it, he was like, man, first through the glass gets the bloodiest. Like, we came from an environment that, we were ridiculed and all of that for being into these things, and now it's just the norm. So when I go through PG, going to Baltimore and different places that I grew up and lived in, and see kids walking around with like a Naruto headband or something like that, or rocking an Attack on Titan like jacket or like a hoodie with the symbol on it. Like, fam, it's like the single tear. I'm like, you don't know what type of freedom you have. You know what I'm saying? Like, bro, you don't know how hard it was.
Stay and walk so you can run.
Yeah, 100%. And it's I feel this, but when he, like, with his martial arts background, like, because I took martial arts when I was younger, not so much these days, but when I was younger, like, having the ability to defend myself because I'm oftentimes being ridiculed for liking what I like. So the importance of knowing how to fight where I was from. So I had the freedom. It was like, I'm gonna say something about you, but you need to calm down, son. Like, yeah, you know what I mean? So yeah, man, it's just, I love it, man. I think the thing I love, I compare hip hop in general just to Jeet Kune Do in martial arts, right? Like where it's like a gumbo of sorts, right? It's this mixture of things, and so now to see it expand to welcome this thing that's been a part of me, right? Like the nerddom, so to speak, that's been a part of my life forever. It's just dope, man, and I'm really, really happy for the next generation of artists coming up that they have that space, you know.
I think it's interesting to note. I have partnered with Bowie State. You remember that group that we brought that first year?
Yeah.
So there's a busload of incoming freshmen. So ostensibly, they're incoming students. So they're basically, over the summer, they're still kind of high schoolers. They're not really at Bowie yet. And they were there for a summer program. And if you know anything about 17, 18-year-olds that have been dragged to a program on a bus to a nerd space that they didn't want to go to, I mean, I'm talking jaded. Like, you know, they haven't eaten, it's hot. You know, they get them off the bus, I get them into this set down, and, you know, you put this panel on, and I was like, man, I hope they don't eat my man alive.
Oh, nah,
because
bro,
they were
listen.
just, you know, but the minute he started, man, they just, all of that just washed away because the subject matter is this artery into the culture of this next generation, so that if you can find ways to plug in this to the culture, like it goes into everything. And I just watched them light up. And the panel went over, and, you know, it was like an hour-long panel to begin with, which, like, you get a bunch of 17-year-olds to sit for an hour still. I mean, it was off the hook. So, I mean, everything that you're talking about with this culture and this next generation who's coming in and adopting so much of what we kind of had as underground that is now becoming mainstream.
Yeah.
It's just really amazing to see in real time.
Because, yeah, what we did in that panel, too, was we just played, I played different artists that they love, right? But before playing the artists, like we would play like a clip from the anime, right, that they sampled. And so a lot of us know like there's certain ones we know, but there was so much stuff I played that like even people who are in the culture like that, like they didn't know. It's like, nah, fam. Like
I didn't know. I was
you think you'll say you like rap. Nah, bro. Like this is my whole life. Like this is literally my whole life, right? So we were dropping like Pop Smoke songs and different artists, like people that they see and you don't think nerd when you see these guys. And it doesn't mean that they are either, but the people who are producing their music sometimes, or even the artists themselves, like they're aware of this world. They live in this world too, and maybe a little bit more low key at times, you know what I mean? But it was just dope to see their faces because they knew the songs, but they didn't know where it came from. And a lot of the kids who were into this stuff still didn't even make the connection. And so that made them a little bit cooler too, because they knew the reference, like, it was just dope, man. It warmed my heart. It was a great time.
I'm waiting for him to open a school, but, you know, that's
listen, bro. Listen,
we
already...
When it happens, I'm going back to school. Right?
Listen, hip-hop education is already a global thing, so including, like, this into the space it's not a difficult thing. Literally, the State Department funds artists like myself and many others to go, like, you know, they sent us to Romania to teach about hip-hop culture with folks. I was in Uganda doing the same type of cultural diplomacy work. We're going to Nepal. So these conversations are already happening, around the world, around hip-hop education. And this is a lot of what, I'm sorry, I know I'm being long-winded, but this is a lot of what D1 is talking about too, like just kind of giving that balance, giving this other side of the culture that people oftentimes don't talk about and isn't pushed to the forefront, and then people like to pretend like it doesn't exist. You know what I mean? So,
yeah, we're gonna definitely circle back to that.
Man. I'm sorry.
No, so it's all good.
Doing my old man thing.
Shao, I got to tell you something, man. The first year of BlurredCon, the thing that was first and foremost in my mind, for some reason, was expanding people's awareness of blurred culture globally. And I felt this is 2016, that everybody kind of felt like the blurred phenomenon was, you know, specific to America, right? And wherever black people are, there's a certain percentage of those black people who like anime and video games and make that as part of their culture. And I had been made aware of so many of these cosplayers and musicians and rappers and conventions and cosplay, you know, who are from the UK and from other countries, that we actually booked a cosplay guest. I think I even told you, Riri Smee.
Yeah.
Do you find, as someone who's coming from, the UK, with a totally different, socioeconomic dynamic, and a relationship to, blackness and culture and the international stage, music, that people sometimes feel like you're somehow a visitor in this music genre, or do they feel as if somehow this is like a really, really odd thing? Like, you get off the stage and then you start talking in a British accent, and people on their heels like, oh my God, like tell us about your experience, traveling Japan and Africa and the U.S. with your music.
I mean, to go back to what my man Substantial was saying, I used to get called Professor Oak in school, and that was not a compliment. I knew all 151 Pokemon and the rap as well. I came to the US, New York, when I was 11 and discovered Dragon Ball Z there. And I thought it was the best thing I'd ever seen in my life because I didn't know what anime was at the time. So I came back to the UK, started learning Kung Fu because I wanted to know how to do a Kamehameha. Fast forward to when I finished what you would call high school, which is my college, in between university, and I decided I'm going to go to China, live there, and train in Shaolin Kung Fu. So my life has been anime from the beginning, And now I'm at the point where I have an original manga series, so I can tell my own story through manga because that's what I love. I feel a great affinity for Japanese culture, for not just anime, but the language, for the food, for everything like that. But I'm still black, and I'm very proud of that. And what I'm proud of now is seeing how many black people are embracing anime, but doing it in their own way. And this is not any shade at anybody else. So I just want to speak because this is my experience. But fundamentally, when black people get on board something, that's suddenly when it becomes okay. We need to start paying attention to this because this is they're doing things differently. It's not that we're trying to dress and appear as Asian or white characters. We are doing it in our own way and representing our own experiences through this anime, and very much so that's what it is for me, and that's why my manga is so important to me, because it is a black-led protagonist there. But to kind of answer your question, in the UK, it's different, because if I say to somebody, hey, I rap in English and Japanese, they're like, okay, cool. And I'm like, I'm sorry, did you not understand what I just said? I taught myself an entire language and then rapped in that language. And so that's why international has always been the way forward for me, because I think that the respect and appreciation that I get out of my own country is different, but it's starting to pick up in the UK, and we've got some incredible community scenes such as Anime and Chill, which is a black-led anime community, which is fantastic, and we're slowly starting to get anime being taken seriously in the country, but I think we're always about 5 years behind whatever's going on here, fundamentally. So, but Europe, let me tell you about, listen, if you ever go to France, Japan Expo is single-handedly the best convention I've ever been to in my life, hands down. It's ridiculous. Like, not only do they respect the anime, but it's also the cultural aspects of Japan as well. And for me, I just think that as a black man and as just a young man in general, I love this stuff, and this is what I want to represent. From when I've been rapping for a very, very long time, but I was always incorporating elements of what I liked into it, but trying to keep it hip hop, trying to keep it grime, Now I just do what I want. And it wasn't until the pandemic where I wasn't able to perform in the way that I wanted to, that I just sit down and think, what kind of music do I want to make and what do I want to hear? And fundamentally, I just wanted to rap about Demon Slayer or JoJo's Bizarre Adventure, and it just so happened that people wanted to hear me rap about that. So then it's just a case of how do I make that me? And one of the best compliments I ever get is that you make this nerdy stuff accessible. It's almost like I can bridge the gap between, okay, that's a little bit too nerdy and that's a bit too cool, and I'm somewhere in the middle, and I think that's really nice, because I have people checking out shows that I'm rapping about because I've rapped about it. And I think fundamentally the next and final step for us is actually being in there with these brands and with these creators and with the makers and doing Jujutsu Kaisen is a great example of what can be done. Samurai Champloo, great example, but there needs to be more. There needs to be more hip hop. There needs to be more of this, and I want to see more people who look like me in the stuff that I like. I don't want to see Mr. Popo anymore. I'm sorry. Guy's cool, but yeah, it's not. I don't look like that. And most recently this year, I not only wrote a song for Fortnite, so I'm officially in the game, so I can say I'm a guy from Fortnite. Wow. But thank you. But then God of War also used a song that I wrote for their 1-year anniversary, so I can see it changing, I can see it moving. It's just taking a long time, and I just think that the more people who know about what we're doing, and the more people who just listen to what we're doing and see it as good music rather than nerdy kind of, it's that anime stuff, and it's kind of gimmicky. It's not that anymore. There are genuinely very, very good, incredible lyricists who just happen to want to rap about this stuff.
I'm going to go right over here to my man DjTaylorSenpai, because I think aside from MCs, there is nobody who has more of a finger on the pulse of the party and the community in its live form than a DJ. Right, the DJ's got to play a song and see what people are looking at or how they're reacting to it, and incorporate and constantly update their playlist. And you got to have a sense of who you're playing to without necessarily having some bio background on the crowd before you get there. So there's a lot of intuition that goes into it. And when I first met you, the thing that really stood out and still does is how you were able to play to almost any crowd without being prompted to know what that crowd was going to want. And I know from experience as a low-budget Puff Daddy in college that a lot of
we
DJs...
can't say that. We can't say that no more. We can't say that.
Oh, right. That's not even... Look,
we can't
see how fast...
say that no more.
Look, you go to sleep on Friday.
Jermaine Dupri.
And then you wake up, and then there's like a whole name you can't say no more. That's the world we live in, y'all.
Listen, that's not going to be the last one.
You got to be plugged in.
I'll tell you that. That's not going to be the last one.
Exactly. Oh, my God. Listen, that's like a whole other panel. If they don't kick us out, we'll run into that one. We'll cut the cameras off. But to my point with you, Chris, the thing that I really understand is like so hard for DJs is to step out of their comfort zone. DJs kind of have an ear for music. They have a different type of relationship to music. You have a knowledge of music, which is kind of like being a teacher in a way when you're in the DJ booth and you kind of like, okay, I want to hip y'all to some stuff you don't know, but I also know there's some stuff you do know that I kind of got to mix in with it. So I'm watching you play Footloose from Kenny Loggins mixed with Power Lines, Eye to Eye from the Goofy movie to, anime intros, you just going all over the place and people just loving it. And people like us, especially in the black community, we won't self-admit, they're like, yeah, I like Danger Zone from Top Gun. We won't put that on our playlist when we get in the car for trips and stuff. Yeah. But then when you play it, 2,000 people start doing backflips. Mm-hmm. Tell me about your journey from coming out of a genre and an age of DJs that were like, okay, we're gonna play hardcore rap, trap, house, techno, and that's it. That's all we're gonna do. And then you step outside of that. How did this journey in anime and nerddom inform your music choice and your style as a DJ?
Well, basically, normally as DJs, we like to read the crowd very well, and then now that you have to constantly practice, like studying BPM or the keynote, make sure it blends well. Is it going to rock the crowd? Sometimes you have to record yourself listening, like, hey, I want this to go well, or maybe I need to tweak this, or have some of my friends that'll give me their critiques and say, hey, I need you to adjust this, but go with this song, it'll be a lot better. And so when I practice and then get the results of seeing the crowd reaction, that's when, I'm glad, because I'm bringing all my energy out to them, and it's, give it back to me. It's a whole iron sharpen iron type of vibe. Mm-hmm. And then what I like to do most is stand out, is go out and dance with the crowd. I like to have fun like everybody else. So we all grew up listening to these songs. We went from Yu Yu Hakusho, Smile Bomb to Juvenile. I don't know, let's be honest, we all listened to that growing up. But most importantly, it's just prepare and readiness. You have to make sure that all your songs are listed and aligned together, so when you have a smooth transition. Last thing you don't want to hear is you dance in the middle of the set, and then next thing you know, they stop, and I'm like, go from Take On Me to Just Wanna Rock by Lil Uzi Vert, and I'm like, okay, no. So it's all about practice and timing and schedule, placing your playlist to each songs, especially when it comes to anime and hip hop. And now TikTok, now you have like mashups where, it's the same thing as old school where figure off a substantial where they did the sample of Ghost in the Shell. It's just, mashup, same thing. And what I like to do is try to do something that's very unique and bring in like sounds that people never heard of, like the opening songs of Inferno to See Murder, Down for My Voice. And I played it last night and everybody just lost it. So, it's all about preparing the songs, BPM, which means beat per minute. So you have to make sure to study if it's fast or slow, and make sure you study the keys because music theory plays a big part of it because it's educational. So you have to understand what the sound of it.
But you also, I think the thing that's really crucial is that you have to be a fan. Like, you can't just be outside of the community and outside of the fandom and go, oh, y'all, I heard somebody likes this song, I'm just gonna put it in my mix. If you're looking out on the crowd and you know, like, oh, that's old, like that's not gonna hit the way this anime just dropped. And there's this track in the opener from like a week and a half ago. I done stole it and put it on, and I'm gonna push it out. That being a fan part of it, I think, is so crucial because, I mean, from the technical side, the skill set side, I've watched you do nothing but improve for years. Just constantly stepping up your game on that end. But the technical piece of it doesn't mean nothing if, like you said, if your heart is not coming out through that system and people don't feel connected to you, which is such a rare thing, both for not just DJs, but for rappers. And I want to use this as a segue for one of the things that stood out to me in my research. Hip hop was something that was born in the Black community. Like, it was ours. We're sharing it with the world. We're sharing it with other cultures. Everyone's kind of put their own spin on it. It's more diverse and broad than it has ever been. But the nerd space is something that we're fighting for as Black people. We don't get that permission to be in certain spaces, not just by people who don't look like us, but the people within our community often are the first people who would tell us, not those shoes. You're going to wear that hat. Like, they really don't want us to kind of be in the nerd space as Black people. So we've got like this two-tiered fight for validity in the nerd space as Black nerds, as blurs. But hip hop was something that came from us and has now kind of come full circle where the nerd space is now kind of manifesting in hip hop, and you've got these two dynamics playing. And I don't really know how to map it out, and I guess that's my question for anybody on the panel. Like, how is that dynamic as a Black rapper, a Black producer, a Black, DJ who wants to, kind of play homage and use some of this nerd space, content and express your fandom, even though the larger nerd space, there is this fight where outside of the hip hop stage or the DJ party stage, you still get side eyes in some communities for being Black and wanting to watch anime and all that. So what does that look like?
In my experience, firstly, I think dope is dope. So if you hold your own and you can, because there's a lot of shows that I've done where the people don't know what Attack on Titan exactly is, but they know how to party, and you make it happen regardless. But within the nerdcore scene now, because it is growing and it's growing rapidly and exponentially, a couple things I'm noticing is there are young people who want to become nerdcore rappers, and they're asking questions like, oh, how do I get into nerdcore? How do I be a nerdcore rapper? And I'm like, well, firstly, you need to learn how to be a rapper. You need to go away and you need to listen to some hip hop. Firstly, don't come in this scene, only exclusively listen to nerdcore stuff, and then try and become a nerdcore rapper, because you're going to be very stilted. You're going to be very limited in terms of what you can do, but fundamentally you are not going to understand and appreciate where this came from and have the respect and have paid your dues for this, which is incredibly important. But then from the fan side of things as well, you also get the, I don't really like that hip hop stuff, but I like this. And it's a compliment, but it's also not a compliment in some ways, because it's like, okay, well, I don't like the representation of the culture and where it came from unless it's presented very clearly in the way that I want it, in the same way that you know them ones who are like, yeah, I don't like rap, but I like Eminem, and you know what they really mean.
Oh wow,
okay. So
oh my God,
it's very much a case of I see my responsibility as well as making sure you understand where this comes from, and that hip hop and rap is a discipline that didn't just begin with nerdcore, and there is more to it than that. And if you only listen to nerdcore, you need to go and expand your repertoire and listen to other stuff.
Yeah, 100%. Just to piggyback on that and to address what you were saying, part of what we deal with a lot of times is people who put on events. There's been times where we tried, when we were working with IQ trying to set up something that, I'm gonna say names. I'm not one. I say names. We were working with MomoCon. Shout out to MomoCon. They're great for the most part. But our first year working with them, they were trying to they were considering us having to pay additional insurance to have an all hip hop showcase, because basically, the concern was that all the rappers were going to come in there and something bad was going to happen. Right.
The only bad thing that's going to happen is they're going to whoop everyone at Smash Bros. That's what.
Right. You're going to get all this smoke. But this is the type of stuff we deal with when we, Katsucon, shout out to Katsucon, but we've pitched a ton of stuff to them. They passed up on it a million times. So what we ended up doing was we hollered at a club down the street from Katsucon to book the first ever Nujabes tribute. This is after my man passed away. And the world really started becoming familiar with his music, so we wanted to do a tribute, working with the label in Japan and all of his folks. So we did that, booked all the artists, or talked to everyone. When we talked to the club initially was like, yeah, we don't really do rap here. And I was like, tell me why. This is trying not to say, but the concern is always with violence. And I always got to tell people, I'm like, you should listen to the music first, because it's coming from a place of ignorance. People hear hip hop, and first of all, you're only thinking about rap music. Everyone loves to use the term hip hop, but you're just talking about rap, fam. You don't break. You don't like, maybe you know some DJs, right? But you don't break. You can't listen to any graffiti artists. You don't know any beatboxers' name. You like rap. You like rap. It's okay. So, when I was talking to her, I had to tell her, I'm like, hey, you should probably listen to the guy's music and the performer's music before you make a judgment, because it's coming from a certain place, and I don't like where it's coming from. And I got a base. I can share information publicly, and we can do this another way. And so she listened to the music, come back, oh my God, his music. I was like, I know it's amazing. I know it's amazing, right? And a lot of it, there's no one rapping on it. Some of it is, some of it isn't. And when people are rapping, all of the messages that people claim that they want to hear more of that already exist, it's all there. So, but we get the door shut in our face time and time again, because people won't even come to the table to listen. They won't even give it a shot. You say the word, and it has this negative connotation. Meanwhile, it's literally Quick history lesson, may I?
Go for it.
All right. So a lot of people don't even understand how the culture started, right? You got people who don't like rap because of gangster rap, right? But the thing is, you cannot separate gang culture from rap music or hip hop. You can't, because gang culture is what gave birth to it. But fun fact, gang culture, these gangs in New York, not too far from where we are now, these 13 to 17-year-olds and 19-year-olds created a peace treaty amongst gangs in the Bronx, which made their community safer for people to throw block parties, have DJs come through, people start breaking, people start freestyling, experimenting with these different elements. It gave people a safe passage to come together. So the same thing you don't like about the culture is what gave birth to the culture. And then the thing you don't associate with the culture is what the culture is all about. Peace first. Peace, love, unity, and having fun. You know what I mean? So literally, the thing I mentioned earlier when I talked about that global work we're doing, we literally, all those places that I listed that I'm going, right, that I'm going with these organizations, our main job there is teaching conflict transformation through hip-hop culture, right? Because who has mastered it better than we have? You see what I'm saying? Because the local governments weren't trying to do anything about it in the Bronx to really fix the real problems. So the kids did it themselves, not adults. Teenagers figured it out themselves, right? This is what gave birth to our culture. You understand? So it's important. A lot of us don't know it. We say a lot of things online, people be yapping, but I'm like, fam, read a book. Like, there's plenty of books. There's plenty of videos, documentaries, so you can really know what it's about. And I'm glad you got pride in your people and you love this music and you love this culture, but like, really know, because it ain't hard to find out. You see what I'm saying? So you know what you're speaking about. So this is what I take. This is the energy I take into these rooms, because I'm like, yo, I know you don't know, so let me educate you. And then you can apologize, and then we can talk about this money. Because at the end of the day, stop fronting like you care about money. You don't care about safety. Right? Because when these white folks, I'm gonna say it, when these white folks and other people come through the space and things get broken up and get out of hand, you still throwing those functions, right? Mm-hmm. Maybe you get a little more security, this, that, and the third. Stop acting like it's just us. You know what I mean? So, all right.
No, listen.
You know
talk to him. I'm gonna. We only got like a couple minutes. So what we got? 2 minutes, something like that. Yeah. Exactly. So as a convention runner. You may not know this, but if you've closed your eyes at any point and heard me talk, you know that I'm phone white. If you know what phone white is that when you're on the phone talking to people and I got a name that sound like right, people do not automatically assume I'm black when I get on the horn and I start talking to people, So I get all kinds of yeses and oh yeah, all right, and then I show up for the meeting and all of a sudden stuff wasn't quite finished. We have another meeting that we have to have before we sign that, and oh no, we're waiting for someone else. So like, oh, that's you, So I understand that there's this cultural dynamic that's still at play with the community, especially when we start talking about the differences and the unique nature of the Black nerd community. We put in like 10,000 people into 3 hotels and partied nonstop, round the clock, with open bars and rap music and hip hop, round the clock for 3 days. We haven't had so much as a shoving in 8 years. If somebody stepped on somebody's pinky toe at BlurredCon, it would be like frontline news, like, oh, they stepping on pinky toes at BlurredCon. Like, that's how peaceful the Black nerd community is, because we are a community. And I think that's so important when you start talking about what the community is, which is the subject that I want to close on for this whole panel, is that unlike other genres and other gatherings and concerts and special events that draw people who might be fans of certain things or movies or music or whatever, we are connected. Even if we don't know each other specifically, we know that we are interconnected. And we know that we have to conduct ourselves in a certain way if we want to stay, in good standing in the community. If you start treating people poorly, or if you start, taking on these negative aspects that we see out here in the world, misogyny, homophobia, racism, etc., we know we're going to get pushed to the margins of our tribe, and that's not what we want. So even if we have like some base instincts that, we might in other spaces have indulged, even then you come into this space and you're like, I got to straighten up. Because I might not know you, but I know you know somebody I know. And if I don't do right by you, somebody's going to come to me like, hey, man, I heard you was assholing at the so-and-so. What's going on, man?
What would Luffy do?
Right, what would Goofy do, right? So, so what I love about seeing us come together, and with the mission of BlurredCon, is not just to create a dope con, which is part of it, but it is to crystallize a community that will then feel much more comfortable coming together in spaces that aren't defined for us. We think, if you've only just gotten into this space in the last 4 or 5 years, you may think that there's, Black cosplay meetups and stuff happening everywhere, and it's been happening for years. 2014, there wasn't. Like, you might have a couple of clumps over here, some people, but like there was not this unified, community of people that felt comfortable coming together, 40, 50 people doing Black Panther cosplays and, coming in and lobbying to have representation on the stage. What he's talking is real. Having Black artists on stages at non-Black events is a relatively new thing, even in the nerd space, right? And we're making this progress because people got up at 8 o'clock in the morning, fought traffic to come and have this conversation, even though you was out till 4 in the morning, and maybe you had a little more to drink than you thought you should last night, or you was on the phone hollering at a boy that you was like, hey, let me see what I can do. This guy's pretty cool. We all lost our sleep. We're not hydrated. We're not eating right. But it's like, I'm going to come to this panel because I'm going to try and get some knowledge, and we're going to do our thing. So I want to thank you guys for coming out. Give yourselves a round of applause.
Appreciate y'all.
Make sure if you took any pictures that you hashtag both us, hashtag AnimeNYC.
Come get one of these.
And definitely get one of these flyers. and make sure that social media knows you were here, because if these things and these discussions are not seen as participated in or populated, they won't have us back.
Right.
Yeah.
The next person to put a black panel into the submission portal is going to get a no if people don't think that there's a reaction. So what you put online and what you hashtag does matter, so please do so. Don't forget performance at the
tonight,
halftime for the
halftime
masquerade.
performance. The cosplay masquerade, 8:30 p.m. I'm going to be tearing it up, and then afterwards, Coexist Gaming, the after party. On this, by the way, it's got my number. You can text me. I've got the American number for you guys. I will find time to text back, so please.
Yeah,
do
I
text
dialed
me.
that other number. It was $30 a minute, boy.
I was like, what's going on?
It was so much. It was so expensive. Verizon called me. They was like, "Bro, what you doing?" I'm like, "What are you talking about? You just spent $66 talking to." I was like, "What? I was on the phone 5 minutes." They're like, "No, you don't understand." I'm like, "Okay, we're gonna be doing Zoom meeting." Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, right.
No, don't worry. I won't do that to you.
Yeah,
It's
no,
just
that's
American
my
number.
fault, not him.
Play something real quick.
Yeah, go
All
ahead.
right. Hey, so panel room 4 at 3 p.m. I do this event at a bunch of different conventions called Sketchpads. It's a live art and music
yes.
lounge.
Please
so we
do.
give out free drawing materials. We have a cosplayer acting as a figure model. I'll be doing a beat set, playing like chill beats and stuff. So if you're fans of lo-fi and stuff like that, fun fact, look it up on urbandictionary.com, and they list me, Nujabes, and Ginseng, and like people like that as some of the. So yeah, I'm the old guy been here, but
If you haven't,
panel
if you
room
haven't done it,
3 p.m. Me and Katie Fox is drawing live. You know what I mean?
sells
Black manga
out
artists.
every time. He's done it at BlurCon for years. It's insane.
Yeah.
I didn't even know
It's
you were
where
doing
it debuted at.
it. Make sure it happens. So Coexist, by the way, is on 38th Street. You just go right down to 38th. It's 2.5 blocks up. You can walk straight out the door. They open at 7, even though all the show and everything is going to go probably till like 10:30 or something like that.
10:30,
Yeah. Okay.
Matter
Go
of
ahead.
fact, I'm gonna be DJ for Cosplay Masquerade. So that's,
Oh yeah, that's right.
yeah,
We got a
that's
double. We got a double hitter here.
Yeah. So, and then unfortunately it's sold out, but we do have Sonic Boombox official after party tonight. But unfortunately,
You can't go, but if you follow his social media, you'll see pictures of it. He'll check in from time to time. But yes, the thing about Sonic Boombox, they always sell out. They've been sold out. You didn't miss nothing. If you're not late yesterday, you come on over to Coexist and we'll do our thing. All right, so let's go ahead and clear this out because we probably got the next people coming through.
Come grab a flag.
Hey, come by booth 2730, the BlurCon booth. We're gonna be having music and fun, and we're just gonna be cutting the fool. So come on.